TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey gang, my name is Scott Webb. Welcome to In the Batter's Box. It is Wednesday, and we've got a lot of games today, and some of them already started, some of them already over. So anyway, point being is that welcome in, and time to see what happens with Major League Baseball. Oh man, look at my hat. I need to fix my hat. So as we go forward today, there's going to be a common theme today on, I shouldn't say a common theme. There's a couple of plays, and we're gonna talk about how we got there on these plays. Yesterday we gave out, I think, 3 plays, and all 3 of them won. Now, yesterday's plays were the same ones I give to my clients, so there wasn't a whole lot of options. So those are the ones that we gave out. I think the day before, what was yesterday? Tuesday. So Monday, I think we gave out a couple. I know Friday we gave out 4 winners. On Saturday we gave out, I think, 2 winners. Sunday I think we gave out 1. It was a loser, and I think we picked back up and went, I think it was 2-1 or something like that, or maybe 3-1 on Monday, and then 1 again yesterday. So this show hopefully is making people have some winning bets. But hopefully at the same time that I say that you're learning a little bit about the back end of how these bets come together. Because ultimately, if I was a good content creator, I would be a better entertainer probably than what I am. So this is really more about, me, how I do my job, and what I do, and then sharing it. So hopefully that message is landing. We're doing pretty well in terms of viewership. We're doing some stuff like that. Yesterday I brought up a question of, China asked a question to his people, and then some other stuff came up about it. And, one of the questions was, would somebody want to learn how to be a better gambler? Would somebody want to do that? Would they like to take a course on how that would work? And I asked for a lot of feedback, and I got a little bit. I got a very, very, very little bit. We had 125, 30 people watching the show yesterday. And I had one guy reply back, and another guy, a couple of people liked the reply, and then a couple of people liked certain things, the other one. So it's a little bit of stuff in there. But that's not, guys, look, this needs to be a more interactive, right? I mean, we need to have good conversations. We need to gain some traction that way. Because ultimately, the gratification that I get out of this is not me sitting here looking at myself talk to you guys. It's talking with you to make sure that you guys have questions that I can answer. And I know that, I've been there, right? Trying to learn how to do this. It's not easy. And at the same time that it's not easy, sometimes you don't want to put in the work. So there's several different questions that come through. And some of those questions, get answered by just communication. So that's what I'm looking for. We need a lot more communication. We need a lot more likes, follows, retweets, all that stuff, subscribes, because we're never going to get where we need to go. And I know that's been a short-term thing. So, we build it, right? It builds and builds and builds. We had, 300 people on here on Sunday. So the reality becomes is, we need 1,000 people. I'm not making this up. It just so that we can get to where we're going and really expand this out and really make it something that I think people will come to on a regular basis. So anyway, point being is we're at the ground level. Let's see what we can do to really drive this. And it doesn't hurt, to have some friends out here that listen to the show and push it forward and help grow it either. So one of the games starts at 6:40. So in lieu of trying to, talk through stuff and whatever, we're going to get into a game because I want to make sure that game we get a little bit of traction on. So the first game that we're going to talk about, this game is where's my numbers at for this thing? There we go. This is 9:25, 9:26. This game starts at 6:40. This is Baltimore at Miami. And the bet that I made on this game is I bet on Baltimore full game money line. McDermott's pitching for them today. McDermott is a call-up. He's never pitched before. He's making his major league debut for Baltimore. And Cabrera is pitching for Miami. Now, the reason that this game shows up, number one, to look at, let me get to the right screen, is because of what my numbers say. So my numbers come up, and Baltimore is the number one team in the American League. In my numbers, they're a little bit ahead of the Yankees, not by much, but a little, and they're the number one team, and they're going to be playing the Miami Marlins, who are the second worst team in the National League. The Rockies are listed below them. So now you have a very big disparity of a really good team and a really bad team. So the number should reflect that. And in this particular case, the number's minus 133 at last look. And I'm okay with minus 133. My number that I bet it at earlier today when I gave it out, I think it was 128. So that's not very far away from what I bet it. So I'm okay with 133. That's not a big deal because my number on the game is 198. 198, almost 200. So I think Baltimore should be a big heavy favorite. And I'm being able to bet Baltimore at a big discount. So I'm going to do that, and I did that. So let's look at how did that happen? Why is it such that they're that way? So the first thing that we got to do is we got to go look at how that kind of transpires. And if I got to go to there, and then I got to go to there, that's really what I'm looking for. All right, so Baltimore. I'm just going to replug these in so that I have these numbers over here and I can give them to you a little fresher. Is a 587 winning percentage on my calculation, and that becomes a 587 is 95 wins. So I've got them at 95 wins for Baltimore, and then Miami is at 397. So if I go 397, put that in here. And then I type in Miami, and then we go. They're 397. That's 64 wins. So when you start to really look at it and kind of break them all out, those numbers are pretty close to being. Well, I shouldn't say pretty close. Those are really good. Those numbers are like I'm gonna say something here in a second, but I live and die by these numbers. And then I shop these numbers and compare these numbers to the books. And so I trust in these numbers and I'm good with these numbers because I know where they come from. And I know how they're made and all of that. So the question becomes, as I was thinking about one of the questions from yesterday, which was, would you be interested in learning how to do this stuff, right? So part of learning that is learning how to make your own number. And the reality becomes is you don't really have to make your own number to be a good bettor. There's other ways to do it. But if you were going to do it and you were going to learn how to make a number, that's great. But if you didn't want to do that step at all, that's okay too. If you found another set of numbers that you were good with. So for example, there's a former bookmaker. His name is Kenny White. Kenny White now is a guy like me, right? He goes out and he sells picks. That's what he does. But he's probably more famous than I am. So as he comes through and he does different things, one of the things that he does is he's a former bookmaker. So he makes numbers. You can buy them. He'll send you every month the numbers that he has on every sport. It costs $20 a month. That's no big deal. And the reality is that if you don't have a better way to make your own number, do those things. It will make you a better gambler. So when you're trying to put all this together, you need the best information you can. And if Kenny White's numbers, I like Kenny White's numbers in football. I just do. I don't, so I paid for his numbers, so I know some of this stuff I used so that I can be able to explain things and show things and do stuff. And you also learn other little tricks, right? Just because you do this for a living doesn't mean that you can't try to be an expert and get more information in a lot of different ways, because you need to. You need the most current information, the best updated sources, not old stuff. Old stuff isn't going to get it. Like, I see these guys on here all the time. I keep pointing this way, but that's because my computer's over here. I see these guys all the time, and one of the things they're putting out there, this SQDL, right? So it's a language, it's a computer program. You can go in there and type in, and you can ask the computer to go run a query, and it's going to then put back a bunch of information to you. The query might be, well, this team plays on Monday after this and this and this, and what happens. And it's going to show you all these different things. So it's all trend related. And look, guys, that's not how to do this. Now, there is value to that in a process-oriented way. So systematically, there's a value to it. Trends, throw them out the window. Just throw trends out the window, because that's what they are. You need to be aware of streaks, but not trends. Streaks are, a team's winning 10 games in a row. It's not our job to figure out when they're going to lose one. You ride the streak, right? So the reality becomes is, I don't care what a team does on Monday night after they've played such and such on a whatever. Who cares? So those trends are just the snippets of time that's kind of strewn together to go, hey, look, this sequence of events have happened this many times, and the team's got a good record in that time, or a bad record. You should bet against it. Means nothing. That is just a sequence of events of things that happen. So trends, throw them away. Just absolutely throw them away. Don't even look at them. Covers.com has a whole bunch of trends. Just throw that crap away. The only thing that matters is logical systems. And what I mean by logical systems. So let's just say the Sunday night baseball game. It's the only one. So the Sunday night game has, a home team and an away team. So the away team's going to have to travel. So on Monday, generally, they're going to have to play somebody. They're the team that's at the most deficient of all the teams, because they got to travel. So if you ran a query on that, meaning that it's a Sunday night game, they're the only team that travels, they go play somewhere else in another city on Monday, do they have a winning record or not? And it comes back and says they have a losing record. Well, that would make sense, right? Because they have a late night on Sunday night. They have to travel to go play somewhere else. They show up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then, they have to go through their whatever to get into their hotels and do all their stuff and check in. They get a late night sleep. They got to go to the game, and then they got to play the next day. So systematically, there's a logical reason to why that game would be a a systematic spot where you could go look at it and go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? So there are reasons to go look for stuff like that, but if it's a trend related thing, don't look at it. So anyway, getting back to this game, we have Baltimore 587 and Miami 397. When you break that out, Baltimore should win that game 68% of the time, just in knowing those two things. But then when you bring in the pitcher, right? McDermott comes in. He's never pitched in the big leagues before, so his WAR rating, right? So his projected WAR. Now, WAR stands for wins above replacement, and you got to understand what it really means. So, Jay Berry says this is what separates winning and being just a hobby that loses. The number breakdown on here is solid. Sharing this out to get the train rolling. MLBdaily.com. There you go. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that 100%. Guys, look, Jay's been very helpful to me, and he just started, watching the show. That's how we kind of know each other. So he's been in great communication. He follows a lot of the tweets, sends a lot of stuff out. I'm sure gets a lot of viewers here. Those are the kind of guys I need helping me, guys. Look, Jay's doing a great job. Jay writes his own stuff. I've seen some of his stuff. He's got some things. He wrote something about Penn State earlier today with freshmen playing and some things like that. So follow Jay. Jay's doing a great job out there, and he's trying to help. We need help to the show. We need a lot of things. But I appreciate Jay. That's great. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the support. So looking at this game, it's 68%. So now we got to adjust for the pitcher. Well, McDermott doesn't have a WAR rating, and remember, WAR's wins above replacement. Wins above replacement means the replacement is a call-up player. That's replacement level. That means if there's a guy in AAA or AA and you need a pitcher or a fielder or a whatever, you bring him up to the big leagues. He's the level of player we're talking about. So you already have a guy in the big leagues. So how many wins to your team is the guy in the big leagues better than a replacement player? That's what WAR is. That's what it does. So the value of WAR is to take a player, compare it to another player, and then you can see what the value really is of each player, because it's wins above a replacement player. So in this case, that's what we're doing. We're looking at two pitchers today. In this case, it's McDermott and it's Cabrera. McDermott, he's a 0.1, like a 0.1, 0.2. And that's kind of where they start is, okay, well, he's sort of a highly touted prospect. So he's been given a slight edge. Sometimes they're a zero when they come up. They're just a zero. They're a call-up guy, so he's a zero. Well, he's been given a 0.1 or 0.2. So theoretically, he's just like that. So there's not a real value there. Well, when you pull up Edwin Cabrera, I use two different projection systems. I use Steamer, which is a much sharper system, and I also use Zips. And I marry the two together to get a number. Well, Steamer is a minus 0.2. So that means he's worse than a call-up guy. And then Zips is a 0.2. So we got kind of he's a 0 WAR advantage, and the other guy's kind of a 0.1, 0.2. So not real big advantage there. So when it kind of breaks down, you start looking at it and you come all the way down, you go, holy cow. It's one of these spots. I'm just going to put those numbers in real quick. We'll just give him 0.1 and 0 and 0. And then you come down to it. And you're going to run into a total number on this game. And the winning probability, and guys, look, one of the things I was thinking about when we were talking yesterday about, kind of putting a course together, was what is a line? What is it? So in this case, right, it's minus 133. So what does that mean? I mean, what is minus 133? Is that a number they just arbitrarily came up with? Where's the number come from? Well, the implied winning percentage with VIG, because it's a VIG is the juice, right, that they make. So it's 57.1% of the time. So that's what the number represents, 57.1% that it's going to win. We calculated, right, using my numbers just right this second, that minus 198 was the number we came up with. But it's because that probability comes out to 66.4% that they're going to win this game. So now you have a number that says we're going to win at 66.4%, but I can play it at 57.1. That is how you do gambling, and that is how this stuff works. So when you're doing these things, like yesterday, we broke down the San Diego Padres, and we said, if you want to know what a good bet looks like, this is it. And it was the San Diego Padres. Today, if you want to know what a good bet looks like, it's the Baltimore Orioles. You're being able to bet the Orioles at minus 133 when it should be much higher. So when you're going to do this kind of stuff, I don't want to tell you it's easy, right? Because to be honest, this is years of work that's been put into this to make this process go relatively smoothly and be able to just plug in numbers and all of a sudden you have answers. So as you're doing this stuff, my goal was to help people get to this level faster, to get to this level to compete, right? Because the reality becomes is if you don't know what minus 133 means and where it comes from, then how do you understand what minus 150 is if it was compared to it, or minus 120? So then you wouldn't know what a good bet was if it was right there. So that's kind of the idea of the premise of really getting more into the nooks and crannies of things to a certain degree. Anyway, then you can look at it and go, I got a great number. I'm going to bet this game. Let's just vet it out for a minute, make sure it makes sense. And then you look at the starting pitchers and then SOPS plus, right? We want to attack. I mean, go after them, the bad pitchers, right? So where's my list at? So the number one bad pitcher on the list today, the number one, Edwin Cabrera for the Miami Marlins, 196. He's 96% worse than an average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense over the last 28 days. That's not very good, guys. And it's also not very good to be the worst one on the list. But that's where he is. He's the worst one on the list. So then you kind of go and say, all right, let's go attack him. What does he look like? Well, where's Edwin Cabrera? There he is. So his last time out, he threw a game score 36. It's not very good. But at the same time, it's not very good. His average over his last three starts is a game score 29. So 36 is way better than 29, even though they're all terrible. So I'm not really in fear that he had an off day and he's going to have an offset to the good. And that happens. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about in the next couple games. But this, and it happened earlier today. Mr. Jenkins says, wow, Cabrera, good night and to go against him. Yes, it is. Good night to go against him. I think so. And especially seeing how the Baltimore hasn't got beat by him yesterday. So, I mean, it's one of those spots. Hey, Marty Lowe, how are you, brother? Good to hear from you. One of the disappointing things about doing this show is I see these comments and I see these things over here, but I never see them like on the video when we're over. But there's comments, people are writing in stuff, so I try to shout them out when they come. So it's much appreciated, and at least I know I'm not talking to myself. So it's great. All of that's great. It says, White Sox ever going to beat the Rangers? I hope not, because I'm on the Rangers tonight, and we're going to break that down. That's a game that is there. Evaldi, I'm taking him on the run line today. So we'll be doing that one. I think that one is. Well, yeah, that one's next. So we're going to talk about that one in just a second. So as I'm looking at this game and I'm looking at Cabrera, I'm like, holy cow! His metrics aren't terrible. Is they're average, 4.42 xFIP, 4.55 SIERA, and of course McDermott doesn't have any because they haven't pitched. So then you kind of look out and you go, where's his issues? Well, he's got several. One, he walks everybody, 4.63 per 9 innings. So that is the highest walk rate of anybody on the board today. And second, he gives up home runs like he's feeding candy to babies. 4.63 home runs per 9 innings. So he walks as many guys as he allows hitting home runs. Isn't that awful? I mean, you walk 8 million guys and you give up home runs to 8 million guys. And can the Orioles hit home runs? Absolutely, they can. So I think it's a pretty good matchup that way for Baltimore. And then you stretch it out and you go, oh, batting average against 306, 1.8 guys on base per 9 innings or per inning. So almost 2 guys on base. They should have plenty of chance to score runs. And of course, WPA, win percent added, is in the minus category. So he's sitting there throwing lots of mistakes. So I expect Baltimore to do well. Now, having said that, I was on a game earlier today that lost. Damn it. And it happened to be the Philadelphia Phillies. I had projected that Nola was going to pitch good. Nola did pitch good. He only gave up 1 run. And it took a 1 run. I don't know. It was like the 4th or 5th inning. They hit a home run to tie the game 1-1. And then it was 4-1, and I went to sleep. And then I wake back up. They take Nola out of the game. The bullpen comes in, walks a guy, hits a guy. They get a base hit, bases loaded. They get a double, and they start scoring. It's 4-4, and the bullpen loses it in the bottom of the 9th inning. They lost 5-4. But what really upsets me about that game is in the first 2 innings of the game, the Phillies had bases loaded and 2 guys on. They had 5 guys with opportunity to score. They were 0 for 6 in those opportunities. So 0 for 6 to get those guys in to do a lot, because my notes and kind of how I played this game out, I was like, do I want to play this game in the first 5 innings? If I did, it would have been 1-1. I would have got my money back. But I didn't want to do it that way because my thought is that I think that we're going to be able to do that. It says also Colorado whipping Boston. Well, yeah. They did, and that was a football score. That was 20-7. I think was the final score of that game, Brian, and that was crazy. And what was even more crazy about that game is I bet that game and I bet on Boston. So see, I can make mistakes, and the mistake that I made there was I had Pivetta pitching a pretty good game because he hasn't been making mistakes. And to be honest, I think there's something there in between those 2 teams, or maybe it was Cal Quantrill that meant there was something there. There's some video of him on Twitter and places, and stuff. And he said some pretty vulgar things to one of the Red Sox players. So there might be some, and he used to pitch for the well, at the time it was the Cleveland Indians, but there's some rivalry between maybe him and the Red Sox. So maybe there was something there. And they didn't let up. Colorado scored as much as they could. And then I saw another thing and I retweeted it that I thought was very interesting. There's only 2 teams in Major League Baseball scored 20 runs this year. 2. Obviously one of them today was Colorado Rockies. The other one was the Oakland A's. 2 of the worst teams in absolute Major League Baseball. They're the only 2 that scored 20 runs. So I thought that was kind of interesting, only in a sense that, the good teams don't try to score 20 runs. If they get ahead, they take guys out. They don't, they try to rest players so that they could go on and play the next game. If you're a bad team and you got a chance to step on the gas, well, then that's what they do. They try to step on the gas. They get the position players out there throwing lollipops So instead of making outs, they're trying to hit home runs. My thoughts anyway on probably how that worked out. But so first game in the books, Baltimore, and that was sort of my how I got there. Then the next game is the Marty Lowe game that we just talked about, which was White Sox and the Rangers. So let's look at this from a perspective of these pitchers for 1 second. And this frustrates me as a former player and knowing a little bit about baseball and teams and where things are and how the minor leagues work and how many players are available for these major league teams. This is a frustrating piece to me. You have a guy in Chris Flexen. I'm sure he's a good guy. Most Major League Baseball players are good guys. And I say that because it's different than public society where you don't know what you're going to get maybe, where you go and say, well, in Major League Baseball, you go in the clubhouse, there might only be, maybe one or two guys that aren't very good people. Most of these guys have been put in through the system and through college and through different things where a lot of them they're not egotistical maniacs. They have confidence, but they're not football players. They're not basketball players. They're not ego monsters. Some of them might be, but most of them aren't. Most of them you can walk up to and they'll do whatever. I remember talking to some of these guys and I used to work with the Marlins a little bit when I was on the other coast, and going in, I met Tony Perez and some of these other guys and Andre Dawson. And then in my job that I had at the time, allowed me to talk to these guys and have relationships with them. And, Carlos Delgado and some of the other players, they would contact me for stuff. I used to run a electronics superstore, right? I was a manager of one of those stores and had contacts with the Marlins because their spring training site was where I was at. So made contacts with them. So every time they wanted something, whether it be a cell phone or they wanted TVs or they wanted whatever, they would call me and I would take care of them. So it became, this really good relationship. That all being said, Major League Baseball players are good guys. They're not bad guys. And it's interesting to see sometimes when you see certain players that get this, drama about them and whatever. But baseball's pretty fun that way. So you don't really see a lot of the drama that you saw in the Colorado-Boston series today. But I'm sure Chris Flexen's a great guy. Sure he is. But that doesn't change the effect that they got to have somebody that can go out and do what he's doing. So Chris Flexen has made, where is he? There he is. He's made, no, that's not him. There he is. He's made 19 starts this year. 19. The White Sox have won twice. 2-17. You would almost think a guy, and I'm just make this crap up. I'm old now. I'm 57 years old. If I were to go out there and pitch and do stuff, my arm I wouldn't last 9 innings. I couldn't even throw 100 pitches. But point being is, I'll guarantee you at some point in time, somewhere down the line, I might win 1 or 2 games. Just because of happenstance, my offense hit against another pitcher or did whatever. He's 2-17 and he's a professional big league pitcher. Get him out of there. You're taking up the spot of somebody else who's coming up. You're plugging it up. And I get it. The White Sox aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to trade pieces at the trade deadline. They're going to do all this stuff. So he's just an innings eater. Okay, well, you can develop somebody, right? You can go and say, okay, I've seen enough of this. 2-17. Let's put him in the bullpen, or let's do this or that. Let's get some other kid out here. Let's develop him. Let him go. But they haven't done that, and he's pitching today. And is he on the list? He's on the list. He's like 5th on the list of attack pitchers. He's a 129 when it comes to SOPS plus today. So he's 29% worse at controlling the opponent's offense. But that's not really. That's a combination of where I got this play from, because Evaldi's pitching for Texas. And Evaldi's numbers, when you kind of do the same exercise for him, he's pitched 17 times. They've won 10 of the 17 that he's made. Okay, so he's a winning pitcher. That's good. That's what you want. Now, I'd like to see him win more, but Texas hasn't hit, and Texas is kind of in a weird spot where, what do we do? Do we buy, sell? Do we do whatever because of trade deadline? And we're not really out of it, but we're not really in it. So Evaldi is a 76 SOPS plus over the last 28 days. So that means he's 24% better than an average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense. Well, if you're going to be better at controlling the opponent's offense, and the opponent's offense is the White Sox, and the White Sox are dead last in offense, well, okay, what are you really controlling? Well, maybe they don't score at all. Maybe they score one run. So then I start thinking about, okay, now I've got an edge here where this offense might not score very many runs, maybe one or two at the most. Can the Rangers cover a run line? Well, I just looked at the numbers to start with Chris Flexen, and he's 2-17, and he's a 129 SOPS plus. So I start thinking about, we're getting there. So let's see what else that we can look at with Texas. So we go and we start to look at it and go, all right, Flexen, you are the worst pitcher today in metrics. The worst one, 5.51 xFIP, 5.36 Sierra, 6.11 FIP. Okay, so that means if you compare him to Evaldi, for example, for xFIP, he is 318. He's 2.5 runs better, almost 2.5. It's over 2. And then when he looks at Sierra, it's 536 to 349. So 2 again. So in theory, by using metrics, it's a 2-run advantage for Texas already. And we're just talking starting pitchers at this point. And if you kind of slide it out and you kind of look at it a little bit further, you go, what's going on here? Why is Flexen, what's going on with him? Well, he's got a high walk rate, 3.81. It's not the worst. You already said that Cabrera was the worst. And he's a 3.81. His home run rate is 1.91 per 9 innings. So that's terrible. Those two things combined are in the top 25% of the worst of all of baseball. So that's not a good thing. And with Stuff Plus, we already know what Stuff Plus means. I say it a lot, but let's, just so that you get a concept, right? Stuff Plus is the measurement of his tools, right? So his velocity, the movement, the vertical, the horizontal movement, the spin rate, the release point, all that stuff. So it's a measure of how good he is. He is a 53. 100 is average. 53. It's the worst guy in Major League Baseball. He's the worst one. That means, he doesn't throw 90 miles an hour, this guy. His stuff doesn't move. He's very hittable. And it shows because his xWOBA over the 30 days is 3.77. League average batting average is 240, and xWOBA is like 250, 260. So the anticipation of these guys getting on it. Brian says, just to be clear, I'm making money with you. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm hoping that that's going on. I'm hoping people are making money with the things I do. I don't always win. But look, if I don't win, I don't eat. So I'm trying to win. So, sometimes I don't, sometimes when I'm on the show, I don't give out what I give out to the guys that pay me, but the reality is that I give out as best that I can. And I try to win every damn game I put out here to anybody because my reputation's on the line. Look, I want a good reputation. I don't want a bad reputation. So anyway, thank you, Brian. I much appreciate that. I appreciate that 100%. And then when I pulled out Flexen all the way down to the end, his WPA minus 0.54. Minus 0.54. So he's not the worst one. The worst one is Kannon that pitched for the Angels today. He's the worst one at making mistakes. So I expect Texas to be able to take advantage of this pitcher. And what I really, really, really liked was Evaldi, because we just said Evaldi was 26% better than an average pitcher controlling the opponent's offense, and this opponent's offense is dead last. Well, Evaldi's off of a game score 18. His average for the season's a 55. So it's very rare that a pitcher will have a terrible outing like 18 and back it up with a terrible outing, unless he's hurt. So in this case, I don't think Evaldi's hurt, and you haven't seen anything or saw anything that says he's hurt. I expect him to pitch a great game. So I expect the White Sox to have a very difficult time to score one. I think they'll have a hard time with that. Of course, you give a walk and a home run, and they got two. So anything can happen in baseball. But the way I broke the game down and kind of the way I thought it through is exactly what you just heard, right? I think if Evaldi goes out, shuts down the league's worst offense, the pitcher for the White Sox gives Texas the opportunity to do well. And if I look at this in one more spot here, if I can get my tabs open the way I want them open, I wanted to share one other thing. So baseballreference.com has one good thing. I don't like baseballreference.com that much because they don't update their stuff fast enough. I do this stuff late at night and I do it in the morning. So when I'm wanting the information, it's usually not there. But I'm going to go over here and they have this little button that you can click that shares kind of a real quick rundown of these games real fast. And instead of me going up and pulling up info. So in Chris Flexen's last 7 starts, right? He pitched against the Royals. He gave up 7 runs in 4 innings. Against the Pirates, he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. Against Minnesota, 2 runs. Against Cleveland, he gave up 6 runs. Against the Dodgers, he gave up 4 runs. And against Arizona, he gave up 6 runs. I think he's going to give up 4 runs, right? He's one of those guys that's going to go out there and he's going to give up runs because he gives up hits. And if you're giving up hits and you're walking guys, right? So like his last time out, he walked 5, gave up 4 hits, gave up 1 home run. The time before that, even though it was, it's his best start, he had zero home runs, 2 walks, 5 hits in 6 innings. Guys are getting on base. And he still gave up 2 runs. So I like the idea here that we have that. And Evaldi gave up 6 runs. And the last time he gave up a big number, he gave up 5 runs. The next time he went out, he threw 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, struck out 6. Give me that, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the idea here that Evaldi's going to pitch lights out. The White Sox can't hit anyway. So they're 30th on offense, and we got a pitcher that's ready to pitch. So I think that theme makes for a good run line spot because the run line is minus. I got -1.5, -115. That's what I paid it to Hard Rock, and then my number on the game in terms of the score, if I could find it, there it is. Because I have a score predictor that is based off of hits allowed and different things. Is 5 runs for Texas and 2.9. I know you can't get 0.9, but whatever. 2.9 runs for the White Sox. So 5-3. If that happens, we're winners, and I'm good with it. So I played it, and that's play number 2. Play number 2 was the White Sox or the Rangers to cover the run line. The last play, and I'm glad we didn't do this earlier because, you guys have been laughing at me for my bet on Boston earlier today, and they lose 20-7, lose by 13 runs. But look, man, it is what it is. That's what happens, and it's baseball. So I'm more upset about the Phillies losing today because I bet them too. So I made 4 bets. And the Phillies being a loser makes me mad. So I've lost 2. I need to win these 2 and just to not have a losing day. So anyway, this next game I like, and it's going to be an opinion that I have that I've kind of went back over for years here, and the opinion is that you have a pitcher in Robbie Ray who's starting tonight for the San Francisco Giants. And Robbie Ray was a Cy Young winner. And, he then got hurt and got moved around and, got traded while he's been hurt. And this will be the first time he's pitched for the Giants. And the Giants are going to be playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers and the Giants have a rivalry. I'm not sure how steeped it is anymore because, the Giants haven't been good for a little while here. So it's been a pretty dynamic thing for the Dodgers. Now, the other thing for the Dodgers is they get a guy back tonight too, in Glasnow. Now, Glasnow was one of the best pitchers in baseball for a while, and then he sort of got tired or fell apart or whatever he did. So they went and, they put Band-Aids on him and they're putting him back out there. I expect Glasnow will throw pretty well today, especially coming out, in his first time out. And then I'm expecting Robbie Ray not to go very deep. I don't think he's going to go 5 innings. I think he'll probably go 4 innings at the most. And not only that, I think that the Dodgers will hit him. That he's a left-handed pitcher. The Dodgers are the number one team. Let me pull it up. The Dodgers are the number one team offensively against left-handed pitching in all of baseball. If I go over here and get it, there. They are 24% better than an average team against left-handed pitching than any other team than an average team, and they've played 36 games against left-handed pitchers. They've won 26. They're 26-10 against left-handed pitching. So give me the Dodgers, right? So I'm like, okay, well, how do you bet them? Well, you bet them on the run line, and you go, hey, I can get plus money on the run line today on this bet. It's -1.5, and it's plus 115. Or plus 110, depending on where you can get it at. Looking at what I had earlier down here, it might have changed a little bit since then. But the point being is you look at this and you go, Robbie Ray isn't going to be out there forever. The bullpen, comes in for San Francisco, and they've pitched 32 innings in the last 14 days and given up 40 hits and 10 walks with 4 home runs. They rank 20th out of 30 teams. So they're in the bottom 2/3 of all of baseball in the bullpen. And the Dodgers have had a little bit of an issue closing things out in the backside. But that being said, I think that you run into this and it's better value when your offense is better than the other to play it in a 1.5 cover than it is to play it in the first 5. So what do I mean? So the Dodgers offense, I already said they're number 1 in baseball against left-handed pitchers. They are number 2 in offense altogether right now in the last 7 days. They rank number 2 in offensive WAR. They rank number 2 in isolated power. They are 37% better than a regular offense, and the Giants are 26th, -29% compared to a regular offense. They got 1 guy for the Giants that's hitting, and the Dodgers have 4. So I like the idea that the Dodgers offense is going to carry him again. And I think that's going to be one of those spots where, okay, look, I get it. Sometimes you sit there and go, well, can they win all this many times in a row? Nothing stops these teams anymore. There is no counterbalances that you need to look at anymore, where it used to be, okay, well, they've won 2 times. They're not going to win another one. Well, yes, they do. In today's baseball, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work where like that doubleheader theory used to be a big thing where, well, just wait till the game of 1 ends and bet the loser because they split doubleheaders all the time. Well, they used to. They don't anymore. It's not the way it works. Baseball teams don't have that competitive fight for that particular reason, right? So the game's not played that way. I've said this a lot, where the way the game is played today, it's a personal attribute game for each individual in a team sport, if that makes sense. So that means batters are up there trying to hit home runs because that's how they get paid. They're trying to do damage. And pitchers are going, these guys are trying to hit home runs. So let me throw balls down and away, slow pitches down and away. And the balls that get hit are the mistakes. The ones that don't break are the ones that spin out of their hand and it's in the wrong spot and it gets crushed. Those are the ones that get hit. Because batters aren't trying to take that down and away pitch and just slap it to right field. How many times do you see anybody slap a ball anymore? Just slap it over there to the right side of the field, right? It doesn't happen. That's not what they do. They get a guy on and they try to hit a home run. So as the game is being played out, it becomes an individualized sport by player in a team sport atmosphere. So the teams that are good have a bunch of guys that are good at damaging hits, that they drive the ball. They're not out here trying to bat 300. They're out here trying to drive their OPS numbers up. They're trying to get the isolated power numbers as good as they can. You don't have guys that run around and go thump on their chest to try to get 150 RBIs anymore, because that's not the way the game's played. And pitchers use that advantage that they have because of what hitters do. Hitters are dumb. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean that in a sense that, pitchers can throw the ball up, down, they can move it inside, outside, and batters, I just don't know how many times I see it. I like to watch the game on TV, but it's way more fun for me to watch the game through the internet or on my phone, because I get to see where the pitches are, what the batters are swinging at, and kind of joke to myself, what are you doing? Why are you swinging at that? It's like you sit there and you go, okay, I need this to happen. I got a guy on first and second. It's a 3-1 count. Okay, look, if it's not there, let it go, right? If it's there, drill it, because that's what I want you to do. Swing at a great pitch. So what do? They swing at a pitch that's ball 4, and then they take the third strike, and you're out of the inning. That's what batters do. Batters swing at the wrong pitch. They get hyped up for certain pitches that they think that they're getting and they don't get. And look, I get it. Batting is one of the most difficult things in Major League Baseball or all sports, because people don't realize a fastball is not a straight pitch. It's just not. It moves. It moves vertically, up and down, right? And it moves side to side, but not just a little. It can move 4 inches, or it can move 8 inches or 10 inches, depending on what kind of run you get. I was watching Nola pitch today, and he was throwing some pitch. I don't know what it was, but it was moving in on right-handed batters. It had to be moving almost 12 inches. It was like starting on the plate, and as it get there, it was almost hitting them, and they were swinging at it because they thought it was a strike. And I get that, right? If the ball moves and you think you're got to swing at it, then that's what you got to do. But ideally, that's where the advantages the pitchers have. So that's what I got for today, guys. We had 3 plays. Baltimore, I know that game started. It looked like nobody scored yet. We're on the Rangers and then the Dodgers tonight. So again, look, guys, follow me on Twitter. That helps. Not look, I don't care how many followers I have. I'm not like trying to get followers. It helps because if you follow me, you get the date of the information, the show times, all that stuff, and you can retweet stuff. That's what helps. If you're following, you're watching the show on YouTube, or if you're watching on Twitch, or if you're watching on Facebook or wherever you're going, just like, retweet, subscribe, do all that stuff that help to drive the volume of the people on the show. We got 120 people on here again. Well, it's like 115 right now. So, we got a lot of people. As we're trying to do this, right, the goal is to keep that going higher. And it's not for me personally. It's so that I can share better with you. Like, I don't know what you guys know about how this stuff works, but this broadcast system, there's a cost to that. It's a monthly cost, right? It costs money to put this on every day. And do this. It costs money just to have the internet, right? You have to have services. You have to have this. You have to have software. And then you have to buy software that interacts with this, like all the little logos and my name that goes across there and that little banner that goes across. That stuff is all extras. All that costs money. when we're doing other things, like we want to expand this to we want it to look like, I don't know. I don't like to use the word ESPN very well because I don't watch that much anymore. But they have good graphics and they have different things. We can do all of that. We have the software to do it, but you need people. You need producers. You need different things. So by you guys helping by doing those different things with retweets and with likes and subscribes and all that stuff, it helps the thing grow. The other way is just to support the damn channel, right? You can go onto my website, MLB-daily.com. You can become a client of mine. It costs you $100. That $100 goes in, and what you get for the $100 is you get my lines every day. You get my EV Plus tool, so it shares my line compared to the books and tells you this is where you should be betting, right? This is what a good bet looks like. Show you every day, and then you get the pitcher tool. So all this information I'm talking to you about, it's right there. I put it out every day. And then I have an offense, right, spot where you can go look at offense. And then we compare them and put them with clusters, so you can kind of see how a batting order might look in a lineup. My score predictors there every day. And then I go back in, and once all that stuff's kind of out there, so if you wanted to do your own handicapping, you could. I go back in and go, okay, well, this is what I bet. So if you follow my bets, then you follow my bets, and there you are. I think right now, if I go pull that up, where is that information at? It is. I wonder if I have it up. No, I have to open it. So if I go over here and I click that button and I go to wager book. So right now I've won 148 bets, lost 122, net positive 26 bets. That's pretty good. And when it comes to like units, right? And look, I'm going to talk to you about units for a second. So my units that I'm sharing is 15.38 to the good. So theoretically, if you were $100 better, you're up $1,530, right? More than way covers that $100 that you gave me. But that $100 is going towards this crap, going towards making sure that this stuff is paid for and reinvested in. It doesn't go to that $100 isn't going to help me gamble, and it certainly doesn't help keep my lights on in my house. So it just sort of helps suffices to this to keep this business operating. So go do that if that's a way you can help, then go help that way. But the reality is I wanted to talk about units for a second, because units is a game. I guess the best way to say this is if you're, like, I don't work. This is my job. I gamble for a living. So I make bets. If I win my bets, then I can pay my bills. I got a car payment, a house payment. My wife works, but I gotta have an income. So if I put out a play, I don't go tell you I bet $500 on that game, or $200 or $300 or $1,000 or whatever I bet. I don't tell you that. I tell you this is what I bet. And the reason I don't do all that stuff is because if I start shading different things and start looking at it from a perspective of, well, I put $500 on this game, but I only put $100 in that game, does that mean I like this game more than I like that game? Not necessarily. Maybe I don't have, I got four sports books that I can bet at. And maybe the money that I have in this sports book is better than the money I have in that one, so I can afford to play more in one than I can on the other one. Those are all personal things to me. But the way these people are showing stuff on the internet, I saw Steve Fezzik, right? And I like Steve. Steve is a great math guy if you ever really want to kind of learn certain numbers, right? He's really good at math, which part of what I was talking about is thinking about, sharing how to do this stuff. You got to know math, and you don't need to know a lot of it, but you need to know some of it. But he put out a thing that says, hey, look, I'm 18-4 this year plus 33 units. So how do you get 33 units in 18-4? Well, there's two ways, right? The first way would be is that all you do is bet big underdogs, because if you're betting plus 200 and you're 18-4 and you're winning, 2 units all the time, well, you can do that, right? Because you're a net 14 wins. And if your net 14 wins are worth, 1.5 or whatever, or 2, then all of a sudden you can get to 33 units. But that's not what he does, because Steve Fezzik doesn't bet that way. Steve Fezzik's a guy that bets this way. If he sees Tariq Skubal, and Tariq Skubal is, say, minus 180, and he thinks Tariq Skubal should be minus 210, he's going to go that minus 180, and he's going to go put, I don't know, $18,000 on that game. And then he's going to call that 5 units or 10 units or whatever. That's what I mean by they play games with these units things. So I'm very hesitant to I don't know how to share records. I don't know how to do all that stuff. I don't know what to do. I know that my guys see when I every morning when I go, the first thing I do is I type in a recap. This is what we did of the plays last night. This game won, this game lost. This is my thoughts around the games that won, that lost, a little breakdown there. And then here's Webby odds for today and all that, because I've already done the work, right? So when you start to think about it, you go, I don't know. So they see what I put out there. I put out the total number of times I win, the total number of times I lost. And then I look at it like a unit is a measure of a $100 bet. So if you bet $100, then you can, whatever your unit size is, then you can just multiply that out. So I got plus 15 units or whatever, trying to get to 30. And if I'm up 30 units, that's a pretty damn good season. It really is. I mean, if you're up 15 units and you bet $1,000, that's pretty good. You won $15,000. That's pretty good. If you bet 500, that's $7,000. Well, and in my world, if baseball, which is a big chunk of the season, I only make $7,000, I barely afford to pay the bills. So I got to pay more. I got to bet more than that, right? So as you go through, you can kind of see dilemmas that you run into when it comes to how do you go and put this stuff out there, and how do you do all that? And I see John Burgess going out there and showing his fake accounts and all the bullshit that he does and all that stuff. Look, guys, I'm not here to bullshit with anybody that way. I hope you like the content. I hope you like what I'm trying to do. I hope that I'm helping you make some money. I'm hoping that in the long run of things that I can share better and more. But as I say that, I need you guys to support me. And I need you to, well, sometimes you got to pay for stuff. So I need you to pay for stuff. I need you to share, retweet, like, all that stuff, because then you'll see a lot of things start to grow and get better and get different, right? If you have a graphics guy, you don't just see me. I can put pictures up here of the stuff I'm talking about, and you can see it. Like, I have it, but if I put it out here, it doesn't really come up clean. It doesn't look good. So I need somebody that can make slides that work with what I'm talking about. And then you can go and put Edwin Cabrera's numbers, and you can put all this stuff out there. And then my picture goes away a little bit. And then here's the data, here's the stuff. And all of that makes things way better, makes things look 10 times better. And you can see it. And that's the goal of where we're going and what we're doing. And hopefully you guys can support me in any way you can in doing those things. I know it sounds like I'm begging, but I love what I'm doing. I feel like I'm helping. I'm getting some more conversations as we're talking here a little bit. But let's see if we can take things to another level, right? As we're trying to make this thing kind of go and grow. We're at 120 views right now. Live people. If you go look at some of the other accounts that do this kind of stuff, they don't have 10 live people. And then when the show's over, we get 50 more people that watch the show. So, there's 170 views of these shows to almost 200 every day. So that's, if you're 200 times 7 days a week, which I'm not doing. So say 5 times, that's 1,000 views. Well, if I was to go out and sell to a sponsor, that's only 1,000 views, Scott. I get it. I need more. So that's what I'm asking you for. I'm asking you to help me grow it to the point where we can have, I don't know what it takes, say at least 5,000 views. So we can get stuff going where I can then open the doors and get these people to come in and go, hey, look, I'll sponsor your show, and we can get some more little advertising things up here, and we can do some stuff and grow this account. So thank you very much for everybody that's on here. Thank you for the support so far. I think this is a grassroots thing that's starting to really grow well. Hopefully we have a good night tonight. Tomorrow there's only 8 games. There's only 2 games at night, so I won't be here tomorrow night. Friday I will be here. Now Sunday I got a problem. I got to go see my mom. My mom lives in Tampa. I live in St. Sarasota, so I got to drive up and see my mom. And my dad died like 2 years ago, and I see her a lot, but she's got a list of stuff for me to go take care of. So I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to be able to do the handicapping and make my bets and do all that stuff in the morning, and do a show and then go see my mom, because it's an hour from here. And then spend the time with her and then come back. So I think I'm not going to do a show on Sunday. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. But so I'll do a show Friday at 6:15. That'll be the next time I'm on. And then I'll do a show on Saturday at noon. But I don't think I'm going to do a show on Sunday because I got to go there. And then make up for that, maybe I'll do a show on Monday at 6:15 instead. Because I should have done a show this past Monday at 6. Jeff wants me to do a show with him on Monday, because by then the trade deadline that'll be the last day, and we can talk about the trades and some of the stuff that's going on that way. So anyway, and then the impacts of those trades. So let's hope we have a good night tonight. Again, guys, really appreciate everybody being here. Help support me, share the stuff, send the stuff, become a client, all the stuff, do whatever's necessary. And again, thanks a lot. And let's have a great night and end, hopefully for my case, end with 2 winners so that I don't have a losing day. Talk to you later. Have a great night.